कि यार diamonds बन रहे हैं lab में, which is going to be absolutely revolutionary.
If you put two diamonds, like the natural one and the lab grown one, can a person differentiate? These diamonds aren't real.
Yeah.
Like, how would you bust that myth? What do you think about gold? सबसे सस्ता, like in which part of the world you find सबसे सस्ता gold?
Dubai has been considered the mecca of like हाँ
right.
gold सस्ता होता है और वो सब होता है, which is market perception. Diamonds are not investments in the segment that we exist in. In a lot of cases, I see some. It's in the news almost every second day. You know, किसी ने 200 ग्राम का वो कुछ शू के अंदर रखा हुआ है, and it's and custom officers have a gala time with it.
Can you explain a bit more? Can you tell a bit more about digital gold?
Diamonds are a higher margin game than gold jewelry.
अच्छा, it's the real diamond only. Just the difference is कि हाँ लैब में बना है and same सब कुछ exactly same है, सारी properties same है.
Yeah.
Hello guys, welcome to Unseen X. My name is Uday, and today our podcast is going to be about lab-grown diamonds. So we have with us Tanish, the visionary behind Marka, which is one of the leading showrooms in Delhi, specializing in lab-grown diamonds. Today's podcast is going to be very interesting and very insightful. We'll know how Marka has been able to redefine luxury in the recent times. Make sure you watch it till the end. We'll start the podcast now. So welcome Tanish.
Thank you.
How have you been?
I've been great. Thank you for having me here.
No, our pleasure. So Tanish, so starting with the first question, I have this question in my mind. So how did you think of Marka? Like you did your bachelor's from US.
Yeah.
And then you came back over here. How did the thought come of starting lab-grown diamonds? Like it's not very common. So how did that come up?
So it's kind of like this whole life story that you just asked me, right? But in a concise manner, I was in the US and I was primarily doing design and marketing studies, right? So I have a lot of technical knowledge and a lot of like software and hardware knowledge and what was going on in the world of technology. And through those kind of information feeds and Reddit posts and stuff like that, right? That's how I actually discovered lab-grown diamonds as a technology product, right? So I discovered lab-grown diamonds as a technology product first, which means I was reading news articles about the fact that these are getting made in labs. And because I have a jewelry background, that just kind of, you know, this was like a whoosh moment कि यार diamonds बन रहे हैं lab में, which is going to be absolutely revolutionary because knowing about science, everything that I did at that time, it was just obviously a revolutionary and a groundbreaking product, right? Not for just jewelry. Diamonds as a carbon crystal have so many other products and use cases which they're already used for.
Right.
They have industrial purposes, they have scientific purposes, and then certain kind of diamonds with certain clarity, characteristics, etc., which we'll talk about more, I'm sure, are called gem quality diamonds. And these diamonds are used in the jewelry industry.
Acha.
Right? So there's a whole gradient of according to diamond की quality क्या है, उसका use क्या है. And because these were being the first lab-grown diamond was made by General Electric in 1950s actually. Yeah, it's actually not a new product.
And it's still like not very common.
No.
Abhi, yeah.
A lot of people don't know about it because a lot of people consume or relate diamonds to jewelry. Right. That's you hear diamonds, you think jewelry.
Right.
Which is not true in a lot more other circles, right? Diamond की drill bits बनती हैं, diamond का powder runways में डलता है for, you know, adhering for friction and stuff like that. So there's a lot of other industries which are exporting and importing and using diamonds, but the common man does not relate to those use cases. That's why we don't hear about these advances or developments, you know, in our normal conversations.
And Tanish, I wanted to ask Abhi ki, like if you put two diamonds, like the natural one and the lab grown one, can a person differentiate between that?
So simple answer, no.
Yeah.
Right? I have a lab-grown diamond here, and I have a natural diamond here, and आप तो बहुत दूर की बात है. I'm a trained gemologist. I can't tell. My dad's been in the industry for 30 years. He can't tell. And my grandfather's been in the industry for 50, 70 years. He can't tell.
Wow.
Right? Because these are optically, chemically, physically the same.
Right.
Right? There's other things you hear about, diamond stimulants जिसे बोलते हैं, और imitants जिसे बोलते हैं, moissanite, American diamonds, or cubic zirconia, zircon, in plain language, right? So these are, they mimic the optical properties of a diamond, right? So when a trained eye, for example, someone like mine, looks at it through a 10x loop, which is what we use to assess diamond quality, you can tell through its optical characteristics and performance कि ये diamond नहीं है. Diamond does not look that way, or diamond does not reflect light that way, right? But as long as it's a diamond, regardless of whether it's natural or lab grown, I can't tell the difference. Right? I am trained to tell
Because
a
it's the
difference.
same.
It is the
The
same.
same. Exactly the
Right?
same.
Exactly the same.
Just the process you were telling me, we were talking that day.
Yeah, yeah.
You were telling me, बस एक ही तरीका है
हाँ.
जिससे ये normally पता चल सकता है कि वो lab grown diamond है और natural diamond है.
Yeah.
Like, would you tell about that?
Yeah, so there are actually two ways.
अच्छा.
Uday, let me reveal this. The one way is the scientific way, which is you give your diamond to a lab, like GI or IGI, and they have huge machines which kind of look through diamonds through lasers and spectrometers, and they assess the growth patterns of the diamond that you give them. And depending on how they're grown, because they're grown differently in labs versus earth, they can tell whether it's lab grown or natural, which is a high-tech process. That's step number one, which involves money and which involves you giving your jewelry or diamond to an institute.
Right.
The second way, which is primarily used for among people like me, is assessing who is wearing the diamond, right? And this is a funny story, but it's also very true, because if you are not a diamond consumer and suddenly you're wearing a very big diamond,
Right.
as a jeweler, we are always assessing, right? Who is wearing what?
Yeah.
What designs are in, Ambani ki shaadi mein kya kya logon ne pehna,
Right.
या if a customer is walking in, what are they wearing? What are their daughters and sons wearing? What kind of jewelry can I pitch them? There's always this mental, model that you're creating about about a person.
Right.
And for jewelers, it's very almost very, apart from the psychology of it, it's always a business decision also, right? Ki if someone's wearing a lot of like colored stones, then are they going to be interested in diamond jewelry? Or if someone's wearing lightweight chains, for example, like our generation does, they're obviously not going to be interested in like heavy diamond or gold chokers, stuff like that, right? So if I am on the regular sitting in my showroom and assessing people for what they're wearing and what I can pitch them, and how I can connect to them or add to their collection, then I know what they usually wear.
Right.
And I know what they don't wear. And if they don't wear a D color, internally flawless, 2 carat ka diamond, which is absolutely white and like 40 lakh rupees at least, then if they suddenly are wearing that, then I can, pretty confidently assess that this is a lab grown diamond.
Right.
Right. So I think a big part of it, to be simplistic, is the societal value and the circle that you are in, and what that circle or societal, kind of your persona in that society allows you to wear.
Right.
That is something I think a lot of people, in terms of consumers, also should keep in mind when they're going for large stones in lab grown. That is something I tell them to be mindful of when they're at my showroom as well.
अभी we were talking, I remember कुछ time पहले कि पहले जो jewelers थे उनको भी नहीं पता चल रहा था. They also couldn't figure it out कि the diamonds which they were selling were actually lab grown diamonds. And मतलब you were telling me that story, like can you tell?
Sure. So lab-grown diamonds have existed, as I said, right, in the
Right.
market for a while. And as I also said, gem quality lab-grown diamonds have existed since 1990s, 2000s में काफी मतलब technology perfect हो गई थी तब तक.
Right.
So somewhere in the market, they were being sold, right? But they were never being sold to the consumer.
एंड कोई तरीका भी नहीं है कि मतलब
कोई
कोई
बता
पता
नहीं
लगा
सकता
सके.
क्योंकि हमारा सारा धंधा आंखों पे चलता है.
राइट.
तो मैं एक स्टोन उठा रहा हूँ और अपने लूप के अंदर देख रहा हूँ उसको, एंड अगर वो मुझे डायमंड प्रतीत हो रहा है, इफ आई थिंक अबाउट द प्रॉपर्टीज दैट आई हैव लर्नड एंड आई थिंक हाँ ये तो डायमंड ही है. तो 1990s से लैब ग्रोन डायमंड्स आ रहे हैं, बट बेचने वाले को नहीं पता वो क्या बेच रहा है, लेने वाले को नहीं पता वो क्या ले रहा है, you know. So it was a very kind of like this dark hush behind the curtain activity for almost 2 decades. And we've all heard of the Nirav Modi case. This is where this guy gets mentioned
Right.
in every podcast, you know, when we talk about lab grown diamonds. And that's when the industry really took notice, right? Because everyone had to turn their heads about, oh, this is happening, right?
Right.
This is happening on scale, and this is happening with big money involved,
Right.
right? And even for Delhi jewelry market, we used to hear this on the regular up until 2015 and 16, which is quite recent when you take the history of everything, right? कि लैब ग्रोन डायमंड्स मिक्स हो गए और ज्वेलरी में स्टड भी हो गए और वो ज्वेलरी बिक भी गई. So it was not necessary that your jeweler was trying to dupe you. He is also doing genuine work. बहुत मेहनत लगती है ज्वेलरी के काम में, and उसको भी नहीं पता था कि उसको लैब ग्रोन डायमंड आया, एंड उसको जिसने बेचा उसको भी नहीं पता था लैब ग्रोन डायमंड आया. It's just such a like, oh, the only person who knew that there was a lab grown diamond kind of like mix in the parcel was the person who was mixing it.
Right.
As soon as that parcel is closed, once it's mixed,
किसी को
it's
पता
just
नहीं.
gone.
Yeah.
And these activities made overnight millionaires. You can imagine.
Of course.
You know,
like the amount of margin they would be having.
Absolutely.
Of
you
course.
know, if you
be
have a 10 carat parcel of diamonds,
Yeah.
which is approximately maybe what 30-40,000 per carat, so which is 3.54 lakhs, and then उसके अंदर आपने 5 carats के lab grown diamond मिला दिए,
Right.
तो आपने revenue तो अपनी 6 लाख रुपए कर ली, और वो जो 5 कैरेट मिलाया वो 10-15 हज़ार रुपए का माल था, right? So it was a huge problem,
Right.
for sure.
But like I visited Marka.
Yeah.
So
Yes, you did.
I saw like the pieces over there. Exceptional, honestly.
Yes.
And those pieces, agar like if you guys visit any showroom, any particular jeweler, you'll see ki matlab they are so expensive. Like they go till like some of the emerald ones.
Yeah.
Also you showed me.
Yeah.
So they must be like around 6-7 lakhs aram se.
Yeah, in a lot of cases, a lot more.
A lot more than
for
that.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So, you know, honestly, before I start talking about the pricing, right? I think this is the real benefit that is just not existed in the jewelry industry right now, till now.
Right.
Right? कि कोई चीज़ पसंद है ना, तो तुम उसे ले भी सकते हो. It's as simple as that. Jewelry is not a utility game, simply, right? In our grandfathers and forefathers' times, jewelry was investment because most of the jewelry was gold, and gold is just a commodity and an asset which can be, you know, malleable and beaten into jewelry
But
pieces.
diamond is not an investment. Right?
Diamonds are never been an investment, right? And it's not as if. So I did this in a podcast format for Marka as well, and we got a lot of slack also about saying that diamonds are not investments. So I'll use your channel and platform to clear something up, right? Diamonds are not investments in the segment that we exist in. And what is the segment that we exist in, right? So you are usually looking at getting a diamond ka necklace with small diamonds, diamond dust or diamond star mele हम बोलते हैं उसको, छोटे diamonds को, right? Or you're trying to get 10-pointer tennis bracelets, or you're getting a 50-pointer ring from Carrot Lane, Bluestone, Tanishq, right? Whatever. And or you're trying to get an engagement ring, 1 carat, 2 carat, 2 carat, 4 carat, right? So the quality and the size in the 4 C's of a diamond, which I'll just get into in a little bit.
Right.
This bracket of retail for the normal jewelry consumer are not investment grade diamonds,
Right.
right? There are investment grade diamonds.
Right.
They start from at least a 3 carat piece, at least an F color, at least VVS quality, all of these things, and really big, exceptional and rare stones are mined across the world from time to time, right? There was a huge stone, second largest in the world ever in the history of diamonds, which was just mined. This is obviously an investment grade
Right.
diamond, right? Because this is absolutely rare because it's not been found anywhere
Found.
on
Yeah.
earth.
Exactly.
But we are not in the market for that,
Yeah.
right? We're not getting a 5 carat D flawless for like 5 CR,
Right.
right?
Right.
And investment grade diamonds and investment grade gemstones are just out of the price range that we
Right.
are talking about.
Yeah, because mostly when you hear about any like if someone is investing, you just
Huh.
hear about like they're investing in gold.
Yes.
You never hear कि
Yes, they're
कोई
investing in
investing
diamonds, right?
Yeah.
It's
Right.
not a market,
Exactly.
right? It's not कोई chart नहीं चल रहा है उसका,
Right.
कोई commodity की तरह exchange नहीं हो रहे हैं.
Right.
Actually, diamonds as a store of value and diamonds as investment का जो conversation है ना, where that really started from is there's something known as hawala and angdiya, right? And what used to happen was, because these diamonds are very small and they can cost lakhs of rupees, right? So what used to happen was, if you had to send money from Surat to Bombay, for example, so instead of hoarding and carrying so much cash, you would actually give a couple of diamonds
अच्छा.
to the trader or whatever.
Right.
And that money has a stipulated value in the diamond का weight or diamond pieces कि हाँ भाई ये इतने रुपए के diamonds हैं. And those diamonds would travel
Right.
and then be exchanged for the stipulated amount of money,
Oh, nice.
right? So that's where that store of की हाँ हीरे की एक value है
हाँ.
और या हीरा precious है.
Precious है.
That's where that was used in the sub Mughal and like post pre-industrial area for India, right? Where the movement of cash was important, but it was not always practical,
Right.
right?
So
So
instead of that, diamonds they
that
diye.
that's happened
actually
across the world.
interesting. Yeah.
Right, you hear about gold smuggling because gold is still like something that you can put a value on.
Right.
But I can't even imagine the things that are going on with the diamonds being transported as an exchange for money.
So what do you think about gold? सबसे सस्ता like in which part of the world you find सबसे सस्ता gold?
That's an interesting question because we keep talking about this, right?
Right.
Like, what's the real value of asset value of gold? So obviously, if you study the trends and you just Google as well, there's at least a 10 to 12% markdown on gold ka trading price in Dubai. But I was just recently looking at some reel or some video, and they were saying something about Bangladesh was even like much cheaper. Bangladesh is apparently really cheap, and this is mostly about regulation,
Right.
and the government's trying to kind of like have a set price of trading, and this is mostly to do with import and export duties,
Right.
right?
Maybe. हाँ, of
But
course.
internationally gold का per troy ounce dollar का rate चलता है, which is I think a couple of years ago it was $1,200 a troy ounce, and now it's like more than $2,500, right? So there's a standard gold price, and then depending on your country's procurement practices,
Right.
import export duties, etc., there's a market gold price in that country.
Right.
And you can get cheaper gold in some other country, but when you import it, the system is designed in such a way where the import taxes will negate the price difference,
Right.
because you really can't have some sort of price arbitrage
So उस
exist.
case में Dubai is considered like one of
Dubai has been considered the mecca of like
right.
gold सस्ता होता है और वो सब होता है, which is market perception,
Right.
to be honest, because Dubai has been very lenient in terms of import and export duties,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
Indian travelers का cash transport हो जाता है, and then they just spend it on gold jewelry and stuff like that. So Dubai is just an accessible point where people can get gold and they do other activities with their cash.
Right.
But it's not necessary that that's the cheapest you can get gold from.
Right.
And as I said, if you are proceeding with importing it, right, the paperwork that you have to file and the duties that you have to spend, which is, I think they increased in this last budget. So 12 to 15% ka markup importing ka tax hi hai.
Right.
So that just straight up negates the price arbitrage opportunity, which is necessary.
Right.
Because you can't just have कि हाँ यहाँ पे 10 रुपए का मिल रहा है, वहाँ 8 का मिल रहा है, तो वहाँ से ले आओ and then 2 रुपए का profit ले लो.
Of course.
In something such as a commodity like gold.
Yeah, of course, people they get it अपने बैग में डाल के
Oh yeah, big stories, big stories.
So I was coming, मैं एयरपोर्ट पे ही था,
Yeah.
तो I was talking to that
Custom वाले भैया, okay, sure, yeah,
तो
officer.
वहाँ पे वो मतलब फ्रॉम दुबई फ्लाइट कम से कम 5 से 6 लोग उन्होंने ऐसे पकड़े.
Really?
Yeah.
कुछ ना कुछ था उनके पास.
हाँ, उनके पास.
You know the problem? I'll tell you, because a lot of get money or get rich quick kind of things like this that people get into. एक तो it's not worth it, right? If you really do a probability calculation of the gains versus the expected loss, like जो math में सिखा देते हैं हमें, it's really not worth it. The numbers are simply abysmal. You don't you do not pull the profit that is needed to justify an activity, something like smuggling gold, right? But secondly, and more importantly, if you want to do it, at least do it practically, right? Don't get a fucking tikki of gold. कि हाँ ये देखो ये पीला मैं टिक्की सा लाया हूँ, right? Wear it as at least a piece of chain or like a gold bracelet. So I think there's just कि हाँ यहाँ पे सस्ता मिल रहा है यहाँ से ले आएंगे, but there's that layer of practicality which is missing, and in a lot of cases I see it's in the news almost every second day, किसी ने 200 ग्राम का वो कुछ शू के अंदर रखा हुआ है, and it's and custom officers have a gala time with it, man. People are just doing it without any forethought. And I think the government has taken very and honestly needed but very nice steps for culling this, because this not only gives people an opportunity to engage in activities which are not fair and straight up not legal, but also जो भी लोग ये कर रहे हैं ना, that's not the section of society you want to enable. Right? Not everyone is doing it. Not everyone is interested in doing this. Right? They know this is a price arbitrage opportunity. करने को कोई भी कर सकता है. But the mindset that allows you to, in fact, do it, that's not healthy. Right? So that's just I've also spoken to custom officers, and मैं तो jeweler हूँ, तो मैं थोड़ा सा उनसे ऐसी भी बात करता हूँ कि भैया ये सब चल रहा है क्या है, and कितने बजे के, and they have like set times. They'll be sleeping on normal times or whatever, like not doing much because there's no activity. For example, Japan से flight आ रही है ना, बहुत clean flight है, कुछ नहीं होगा.
दुबई से आ रही है,
दुबई से आ रही है, and they have like 3 बजे की flight, 4 बजे की flight, दिन वाली flights नहीं, रात को landing वाली flights. Like there's all these patterns that people follow. होने वाली है. Yeah.
सही है. Interesting. So you deal in gold as well, right? मतलब not Marka especially.
Yeah. So I am a third generation jeweler.
Right.
So we do have operations in Chandni Chowk in Delhi and then Preet Vihar in East Delhi, and we do lab grown diamonds at Marka in Lajpat Nagar, but then we also have gold, kundan, polki, and everything that you would think of when you think of jewelry in our other operations.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, how do you calculate margins when you're dealing in gold?
In gold? I'll tell you, Uday, because for someone who's working in a startup or someone who's working a corporate life, right? The kind
usually
of
मतलब कितना margin होता है?
हाँ,
मतलब
yeah. So it honestly it can depend vastly, right? From like less than a percentage point to almost doubling your money. Right? And it really depends on the opportunity that you have. I'll give you an example. Right? So everyone's heard of gold being sold at 5% making charge. सबने सुना है, right? या तो रेडियो पे सुना है या तो रील्स में देखा है. everyone knows gold कहीं ना कहीं तो 5% making charge पे मिल रहा है, right? And as a jeweler today, I will tell you very honestly that gold पे बहुत सारी मेरे पास ऐसी चीज़ें हैं जो मेरी कॉस्टिंग 10 to 12 to 15% है,
अच्छा,
right? So thinking that सारा gold 5% पे मिलता है is not fair,
राइट,
right? Because there is gold jewelry which commands a 5% making charge. There is a gold jewelry that commands a 12% making charge. There is also gold jewelry that commands a 30% making charge.
अच्छा,
Right? So if you're getting a 10-gram chain, then depending on the design, depending on the finishing, and depending on really what that chain is it a part of a collection, is it a regular chain which is built in a factory, 15,000 chains a month wali cheez hai. So what's the story behind your jewelry piece is a big conversation when you're talking about
Margins.
making charges and margins, right? I will tell you, diamonds are a higher margin game than gold jewelry.
अच्छा,
Right? Gold jewelry, especially for 80% of the market, of the jewelry market, is simply a revenue game. It's not a profit game. Right? The kind of money, 100 रुपए को 4 बार market में घुमाना है. Right? You want to move product worth 400 rupees. So you have stock worth 100 and then you sell it and then you get more and then you sell it and you get more and then you sell it, get more. And on top of that, gold is on average increasing 15% per year.
yeah,
Right? So that's really why jewelers, and I say 80% because 80% is the unorganized and semi-organized market in jewelry, right? 20% is all the brands that you have nowadays. So the unorganized and semi-organized market, which is still the major chunk of Indian jewelry sales, is only doing gold for that revenue multiplier, right? Which is very important in a business like ours. So रखे रखे मुझे ना माल बेचने का लालच नहीं है, रखे रखे मेरी सेव बढ़ रही है. That's primarily why jewelers and realtors, for that matter, real estate में जो लोग हैं, are much happy holding inventory also sometimes. They don't have कि हाँ लाला बने हुए हैं, बैठो कुछ नहीं होता,
प्राइस बढ़ रहा है अपना,
प्राइस बढ़ रहा है तो मतलब वो माल मूव करने का टेंशन भी कम होता है उनको. दैट माइंडसेट यू सी इन अ लॉट ऑफ ओल्ड स्टोर्स कि नहीं बिक रहा कुछ नहीं होता.
बढ़िया है, फिर भी अपना,
Yeah, which is not a healthy business mindset.
एग्जैक्टली, बिजनेस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से नहीं है
Yeah.
हेल्दी,
Right, but at the same time, these are the only two industries, jewelry and real estate, which have appreciating assets.
राइट,
Right, assets usually depreciate. तो अगर आज नहीं बेचोगे तो कल 1 रुपये कम का बिकेगा. यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा उल्टा हो जाता है गेम. Right, so this is something that we've been taught to be very mindful of.
Right.
As a jewelry family, कि it's not necessarily just thinking about the fact that your money is growing where it's sitting. You also need to make sure that you're making collections which are which people like, which are trending, and things that are not seen in the market or not in your market. Right? 5% वाली मार्केट में तुम बहुत अच्छी चीज़ लेके जाओगे तो 10 में भी बिकती है. एंड अगर तुम 15% वाली मार्केट में अगर 3-4% वाली चीज़ लाते हो तो वो भी बिकती है. यू हैव टू फाइंड दैट नीश रियली. Right? And I think a big part of that is just being very, very honest about your collection and your value standpoint in the market. Right? Yeah.
ट्रू. सो दिल्ली जैसे शहर में बहुत चोरियां होती हैं
Yeah.
गोल्ड की, ठीक है. एंड आई हैव हर्ड कि जूलर्स जो यहाँ से ऐसे परचेज करते हैं एंड इसमें डील करते हैं, लाइक बहुत नेक्स्ट लेवल प्रॉफिट होता है इसके अंदर. व्हाट इज योर टेक ऑन दैट?
Yeah, देखो, of course my take on that is theft is wrong.
Yeah, but like one of my friends, he was telling me
Yeah,
कि so he's a jeweler, so he was telling me कि काफ़ी लोग ऐसे डील करते हैं उसमें एंड लाइक काफ़ी लाखों का रेवेन्यू ईच एंड एवरी डे.
अच्छा.
हाँ.
So I'll give you a little bit of a lowdown, right? Because regardless of where you get your jewelry from,
Right.
right, whether it's from genuine sources or not, it's not always easy to sell your jewelry, right? For example, if you walk into my store, right, I am selling you jewelry, I have a GST number, I have a firm, I have the proper paperwork that I need to sell jewelry according to the Indian government, right? HSN codes hote hain, which I'm approved to deal in or trade in, right? So when you as an individual without a GST number or without a firm come in to sell jewelry, right? There's a verification process that I have to follow as a jeweler, right? Which involves taking your IDs, which involves making a purchase pro forma about what is the jewelry that I'm buying from you, what is the estimated value of it, उसके अंदर percentage of gold होता है, percentage of diamonds or stones होता है, etc. Right? So when you're going to authorized jewelers who are valuing your jewelry, they will also give you a purchase pro forma about for the jewelry before giving you cash or checks about for the jewelry, right? So आपके पास घर में भी कोई ज्वेलरी रखी हुई है तो उसको आप बेचने जाओगे तो यू विल हैव टू फॉलो दीज रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस सो दैट दैट ट्रांजैक्शन इज क्लीन एंड फेयर ऑन बोथ साइड्स, राइट?
बट
ये चीज हो रही है एंड आई एम श्योर ये होती होगी बिकॉज नॉट एवरीवन इज इंटरेस्टेड इन बीइंग क्लीन एंड यू नो मेकिंग श्योर दैट यू स्लीप वेल एट नाइट. And I think for something like gold, which is as good as cash, right? You don't have to worry about कि आज कितने का बिकेगा, कल कितने का बिकेगा, right? Gold is equal to cash. उस terms में, if there is jewelry which was stolen and then it's getting sold, I am 100% sure ये होता है. मुझे ये नहीं पता कहाँ होता है और कैसे होता है, but अगर ये आप बोल रहे होता है और मुझे इंट्यूटिवली पता है, हाँ दिल्ली शहर में ऐसा कोई मार्केट होगा
जहाँ पे अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड मार्केट है, मतलब
बहुत बड़ी अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड मार्केट है ज्वेलरी में तो स्पेशली
एग्जैक्टली
है फॉर श्योर,
राइट? सो नाउ कमिंग बैक टू लैब ग्रोन डायमंड्स.
यस,
ठीक है, तो अभी भी आजकल बहुत ऐसे मिथ है, लोग ऐसे बोलते हैं कि these diamonds aren't real.
Yeah.
Like, how would you bust that myth?
So I do this regularly at the store, right? We have walk-ins and clients who have never bought lab-grown before, but they've seen or read about lab-grown diamonds at this point, right? Almost everyone has. So there is the technical truth, right? That this scientifically is made of carbon. एंड कार्बन जब तक एक क्रिस्टलाइन स्ट्रक्चर में होता है पर्टिकुलर टू डायमंड्स, ये डायमंड कहलाता है, राइट? सो देयर इज द टेक्निकल ट्रूथ दैट लैब ग्रोन डायमंड्स आर डायमंड्स which can be verified by using diamond testers which test for the hardness, or using proprietary like machines and lab equipment which will test the diamond for its properties like physical properties, right? So the technical truth is that these are diamonds and you can verify them using lab equipment or diamond testers, right? ये भी मिल जाते हैं, jewelers के पास भी होते हैं, मेरे पास भी हैं, and I do this in my store as a exercise also, just to have that kind of educational you know segment for lab grown diamonds at the store. But the second truth about this perception is the perception of lab grown diamonds, right? And that's the harder part to prove, right? Because if you in your mind are not convinced that these are diamonds, then nothing I can say or the lab equipment can say will convince you otherwise, right? And that we see mostly in a little more conventional and traditional mindset, which still exists when you're buying jewelry in India, right? Typically people, and this is what I call my target demographic, right? Typically people below 40, college educated and corporate working, right? That intersection gets it,
right?
And that's the intersection which is easy to pitch, right? If for example my father or mother, regardless of the fact, you keep aside the fact that they're jewelers, मेरी मम्मी पापा की generation जो है, that's harder to convert.
Exactly.
Right?
Agreed.
Because they've always bought diamonds for that allure and that societal kind of panache, and वहाँ पे lab grown diamonds fit नहीं हो पाते हमेशा, right? And there is a very specific segment in that market जिनको पता चल गया है कि हाँ यार ये सेम चीज़ है, एंड अगर मेरी सोसाइटी में मैंने अगर लैब ग्रोन डायमंड भी पहन लिया तो भाई मेरे हाथ में तो वो नेचुरल की तरह ही परसीव होगा, right? So it's a big perception game.
Exactly.
And that perception can be very hard to change. But as we've seen after COVID especially, when discretionary spends have gone down and luxury spends have gone down, this segment of affordable luxury जो आ रहा है ना, people
Right.
don't want to spend an insane amount of money, but they still want to have that access, is the market that I am betting on in India
Right.
for lab grown diamonds.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's very affordable. Like, mainly जो natural diamonds हैं, कितना hard work रहता है, कितना, labor and all,
Yes.
सब कुछ.
Yes.
So, of course, it will be very expensive. That's also, I guess, one of the reasons कि it's very expensive.
Yes.
ठीक है, of course, ठीक है, natural है, but similarly when you see lab grown diamonds, तो मतलब कोई difference नहीं है, and it's so affordable. Like
Yeah.
I saw some of, like
Yeah.
as I told earlier,
Yeah.
कि when I saw some of the pieces, I was like कि यार अगर तुम किसी भी randomly किसी store पे चले जाओ, like इतना सस्ता हो ही नहीं सकता.
Yeah.
डायमंड का अगर तुम एंड मतलब you can't even differentiate. That's the best part.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
it's the real diamond only. Just the difference is कि हाँ लैब में बना है एंड सेम सब कुछ एग्जैक्टली सेम है, सारी प्रॉपर्टीज सेम है,
Yeah.
है ना. सो दैट्स एक्चुअली वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग एंड आई ट्रूली बिलीव, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि लैब ग्रोन डायमंड्स दे आर द फ्यूचर.
Yes.
ठीक है, ऑफ कोर्स मतलब affordability, you talked about affordability and luxury,
Yes.
like both coming together.
Yes.
Especially
Yes.
in a country like India.
Yeah.
Like it's the best thing.
I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
I truly believe in this vision.
Yeah, right.
Because Uday, you also, like, I was seeing this reel for jewelry trends and some reel that AI created. How has jewelry changed across
Right.
millennia? And it's a very stark kind of like pattern where jewelry has changed from being these exorbitant, overly dressy pieces to lightweight
Minimalist.
and minimalist, and where the stonework or the design work stands more than just the gold weight,
Right.
right? And हमारी जनरेशन में हाउ मेनी पीपल डू यू नो हु आर गोइंग आउट बाइंग 100 ग्राम का गोल्ड का चोकर, राइट?
Hardly.
मम्मी पापा बोल रही है शादी में कुछ पहनना है तो ले लिया,
Right.
बट हमको तो यार वी लाइक एंटी टार्निश ज्वेलरी,
Right.
we like regular daily wear pieces which I can wear without worrying about losing them.
True.
Right? And as soon as you talk about a 1 carat solitaire, you think अरे हाँ ये हर रोज पहनना है और ये तो 4-5 लाख रुपए की चीज है, and all of those things start coming into our head, right? 4-5 लाख रुपए किस चीज के लिए देने हैं? You know what I mean?
True. नहीं, of
And,
course.
for example, we retail our 1 carat rings anywhere from 40 to 60,000 rupees, including the gold and the design, right? So that is something that is just so attractive
Yeah.
at that price point for our generation, because you want to wear jewelry, right? The question is not if jewelry is practical or not. The question is what price and what are you getting for that amount of money that you're spending.
True.
If you want a 1 carat diamond, then that is available for 35,000 rupees also, right? You're making a choice to get it for 4-5 lakhs, which is a fair choice. It's your money, right? But हमारी generation में, as I said, 40 below, college educated, corporate working, we are so practical with our money. We are not investing in jewelry. We are getting stocks, SIPs, ULIPs, all of those things, right? So jewelry पे पैसा खर्च करना है तो मुझे अपने लिए करना है, मुझे वो लॉकर में रखने के लिए नहीं करना है.
सही बात है.
राइट? एंड अगर मैं वो कर रहा हूँ तो फिर इफ आई एम ऑन अ सैलरी एंड आई एम सेविंग दिस मच अमाउंट ऑफ मनी पर मंथ एंड आई वांट टू ट्रीट माई सेल्फ इन अ कपल ऑफ मंथ्स फॉर माई बर्थडे और व्हाट हैव यू, lab grown diamonds are just such a perfect option for that.
Right. And as you said, like आज की generation is smarter as well.
Yeah.
Like they know कि हाँ ये चीज़ worth it है, कि नहीं है. Like talking about lab grown diamonds.
Yes.
So also the approach, like as you said कि हमारे parents की generation जो है उनको ऐसा होता था कि हाँ एकदम लदे हुए होना चाहिए ज्वेलरी से, हेवी होना चाहिए सब ऐसे. और आज की जनरेशन में ये चीज़ देखिए, इवन आई ऑल्सो डील इन एंटी टार्निश ज्वेलरी, सो आई हैव सीन दिस कि मतलब हाँ लोगों को एकदम मिनिमलिस्ट वो चाहिए लुक,
Yes.
और मतलब they don't want एकदम heavy सा कि
Yeah.
मतलब हाँ
Yeah.
jewelry लगी हुई है and
What do
वो
what
सारी
do what do people call it? Outfit of the day,
right
OOTD,
right
right?
right
So I if I'm wearing a suit or I'm wearing a dress, like I want something that can complement my look, and that's all,
simple
right? I'm not walking
simple and
around
sorted
wearing कि मुझे लाखों रुपए की चीज दिखानी है किसी को.
right
No, I want to wear solid pieces which go with my look and they
right
complement my confidence. I think that is the approach that our generation has. You can park your money wherever you want, but that's not really on my hands and my feet,
right
right? And to that point, mentioning artificial jewelry and anti-tarnish jewelry, silver jewelry, I think there is such a great opportunity there as well. And that's primarily because that mindset is shifting really quickly,
true
right? You talk to any jeweler, and they will have a certain ulterior motive of not pitching or not talking about artificial jewelry, because that's obviously a low value competition,
yeah
right? But या तो तुम 1 लाख रुपए की चीज 3 बेच लो, और या तो तुम 10,000 रुपए की चीज 5,000 बेच लो,
right
right? So these things are coming, these things are here, and they've been here, and they're only going to grow in terms of their turnover and volume,
True.
right? As a product proposition, I see there are so many vendors across Karol Bagh and Chandni Chowk who are doing this concept called 1 gram gold jewelry, right? So these are proper yellow gold ke sets, and they're made in copper or some other metal, base metal, and then they're coated in what we
हाँ
call
of course
gold water,
yeah gold
right?
plated
हाँ,
jewelries
gold plated jewelry जो होती है
18K
18 कैरेट
yeah
की 22 कैरेट
yeah
की, राइट? यू सी रील्स एंड दे लाइक हाँ टेस्ट कर लो, गोल्ड ही है, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा. एंड इतने बड़े बड़े सेट्स होते हैं 10-20 thousand के, राइट?
right
अब नाउ आई से एज अ पार्ट ऑफ द प्रैक्टिकल जनरेशन कि भाई तुमको लुक चाहिए थी, तुम्हें लुक मिल गई, और तुमने मतलब 200 grams of gold is what, like 15-16 lakh rupees.
right
तुम्हें 20,000 में तुम्हारा काम हो गया, और तुम्हें शादी में पहना, तुमने शादी में पहन लिया, खत्म हो गई बात.
सही बात है
अगर तुम्हारे पास 15-16 लाख रुपए हैं तो उसकी एफडी करवा लो,
हाँ
राइट?
of course
Sovereign gold bond ले लो, park your money in a stock somewhere, right? Take gold,
right
right? To that point, our generation is not doing enough to save money, right? We're part of a generation which
I think that's also one of the reasons कि हमें और ज़्यादा अफोर्डेबल चीज़ चाहिए
yeah,
क्योंकि
yeah,
हमारी जनरेशन पैसा बचाती नहीं है
yeah, yeah.
है ना
Right. And I think that's very true. Everyone I talk to in my friend circle also, I literally tell them, यार तुम्हारे पास stocks का portfolio है, ठीक है. तुम्हारे पास अपना crypto का portfolio है, ठीक है.
सही है
Right? The kind of margins that you're swaying, 2,000%, right? 500%, like
Right.
insane, right? So the problem is that those are not fixed or those are not predictable. So diversify that portfolio, right? Have things which will stay with you regardless and grow with you regardless, and then have a part of your portfolio that can give you exponential returns, right? And I tell this to every one of my friends, regardless of whether they're into investing their money or not, कि take whatever savings you have and don't keep cash,
right
right? 100 रुपए है ना, बैंक में रखे हुए 100 रुपए साल के एंड में ना 93 रुपीज बच
सही
गए.
बात है
यू बीटिंग इन्फ्लेशन, राइट? गोल्ड एडजस्टेड सेविंग, वो इन्फ्लेशन एडजस्टेड सेविंग करो, राइट?
Right.
पार्क दोज 100 रुपीज इन गोल्ड, right? At least you beat inflation,
exactly
right?
नहीं, I
Your
totally
100
agree with you.
rupees, stay 100 rupees, right? So any amount of cash available you have, whatever amount it is, just get an app. There's so many apps which are doing gold brokerage and stuff like that.
Right.
Just take that and do a UPI payment and convert that into gold. किसी भी भाव में, किसी भी रेट में, just do a monthly transaction where you are making up your gold, because cash will always give you income,
Right.
but gold will give you wealth,
right
right? And I think that's the ticker tape.
नहीं, that's
You know?
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
So you were mentioning. So can you explain a bit more? Can you tell a bit more about digital gold?
Yeah. So digital gold is a fairly new concept, and digital gold is really basically you buying gold in a digital form. And what I mean by that is that when you transact and when you give money at a certain rate for 1 gram of gold, for example, you don't get a physical 1 gram piece. You
Right.
get a credit note and a promise note, which promises you a 1 gram gold valuation, right? And there's a lot of applications that are doing it nowadays, and including some jeweler applications which are also in the market. What you want to do is find a trusted broker or a trusted platform, and they will issue you. They will tell you what the gold rate is, and you do a UPI payment or whatever a transaction, and the amount of transaction, the amount of money that you give them, they will divide that by the rate of gold, and then give you a certain grammage of gold.
Right.
So you get your money converted into 24 karat gold, right? So that is entirely in your account, and it's as long as it's a trusted vendor. It's not as if these guys are also just hawa mein gold book ho gaya. These guys have a reserve of physical gold
Acha.
on which the platform is run,
Right.
right? So they are also only allowed to sell the amount of gold they actually physically have.
Right.
So your transaction is always backed by real physical, gold, just like banks have back currency.
Right.
So your money is literally converted into physical gold, but you have a promissory note on that app in your account, and you can redeem that from the same company anytime. And a lot of cases, these are also redeemable in other vending places or banks and stuff like that. So there are things you can probably do, like a more in-depth education about how these platforms work, but it is a secure and safe way to park your money.
Right.
It is something that's absolutely legit. Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty interesting. I guess that should be it for
Yeah.
today, Tanish. Like, it was really nice chatting with you. It was a pretty insightful session.
I'm glad.
It was quite intense, and I guess our viewers, they must have gained a lot of knowledge about lab-grown diamonds, about gold. So thank you so much again
Yes,
for coming
you're
today.
welcome. Yes, thank you for having me again. Yes.
And guys, hope you really liked the episode. Would mean a lot if you guys could subscribe and share. Thank you so much again for watching.